Hey there, Fashion Radio, and thanks so much for tuning in with us today. You know, it said that timing is everything. And in this particular case with our topic, I'd have to agree. The podcast you're about to listen to was actually recorded over Christmas. But, you know, with the hustle and bustle and all that was going on with the holiday season, we just couldn't get to it in time. Today's topic actually is on joy. And with some of the recent events that have happened in or around my life, I'd have to say, it looks like we're going to cover more of this topic. We can just call this kind of part one, as it's a relevant topic, as so many precious people walk in and day out with no joy or no hope. And so with that being said, I present to you our interview with special guest Jennifer Vargas. Enjoy and Happy New Year. Well, hello, welcome to Fashion Radio. Today with us we have Jennifer Vargas.
Hello.
How are you doing, girl?
I am doing awesome, thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to be here.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. I love saying that, you know.
I know.
Every time, you know, at work people come and go, I'm like, Merry Christmas. It just, I don't know. And everyone lights up when you say that,
yes.
You know, and
yeah.
I love that people are still very excited about Christmas and saying Merry Christmas.
I mean, Happy Holidays is great, but it's all about Christmas.
Exactly.
You know, so that's fun. Well, I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just so the listeners know, we had Jen come on this month, and, you know, really the heart of Christmas is joy.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people don't experience joy sometimes during the holidays for various reasons. Maybe there's nostalgic things that they went through their childhood. Maybe they lost a loved one, and so it's a little hard for them to just enter in and really celebrate Christmas.
Right.
And the holidays. And so in just kind of looking around and seeing different people in my sphere who are joyful and have beautiful hearts and attitudes. I mean, really, so many people in my sphere and my world are this way. But you did come to mind because I know you've battled some tough things and you've made it through the other side. And nobody would ever know, looking at you, that you've gone through some of the tough stuff that you have, because you do have joy. And so I really just wanted you to share anything that you would have to share to our podcast listeners, so that maybe this season, if there's something that they're struggling with, or turmoil, or just depressed and don't know how to get to the other side, I want the listeners to be able to say, you know what, this Christmas season, I heard a podcast, I listened to fashion, and something in that podcast just clicked for me, and this sorrow that I had has been lifted, and I feel joyful, I'm happy, I'm not really sure what happened. So talk to us just a little bit about, you know, some of your journey. Okay. And you have different things you can pull from, girl. Like this, I do know.
Yeah, well, it's been quite the journey, and I think depression has definitely been something that I battled even from the time I was a little girl. You know, I didn't have the storybook childhood like so many of us have not, unfortunately, which was never the heart of our Lord, which is never the heart of God, that we would have these type of issues and broken families, and, you know, and I think that Christmas kind of makes you feel like you should have like the perfect little storybook family, and a lot of times it can trigger that depression or the sadness, or, you know, different things like that.
Being single, even for me, that a little bit of that last year, but it literally came and went. It was like a matter of like 1 minute. Right. But there have been other Christmas seasons where I'm like, gosh, I'm not married, and you start just feeling this overwhelming sense of loneliness, and so Well, one thing that I have learned is I remember one time I was like, why do I keep battling the depression? There are so many things in my life that are going so well, but I was so focused on all the negative. And I remember just being at a place where I all of a sudden saw this picture, and it was almost like there was a mold that I fit into, sort of. But when I was in that mold that I fit into, like not having this, and this, and that, there was this depression that came out of it. And I had been set free from that.
And so things were going good, but because I lived in there for so long,
Right.
it was like home to me. So it was easy for me to kind of crawl back there when something didn't go right. Like, you know what, I'm used to this, and it's almost like it becomes just like a cover. Even it's sick, and when you think of it, like, oh, I'm going to crawl back to this bad place. But because it's so familiar to you, it's so easy.
Interesting.
To crawl back into that and feel comfortable.
Right.
And it's so twisted. But that was what was happening in my life, is that I kept crawling back into that because I was so familiar with it. Because like I said, since I was a little girl, I had battled depression and you know, a lot of sadness and things not going the way that you know, I thought that they should go, or you know, different things like that. So, and then I also had this vision of this prison, and I had already been given the keys. I had already been set free.
Yeah.
So, but I was going back, you know, you in a sense go back in there and you shut the door, and it's not locked, but you kind of, you know, you bring yourself back to that place.
Right.
But really, you're a key holder.
I was just going to say, you have the choice to go in there or not.
You have the choice.
Right.
And I think if you just stop in that moment, you can pull yourself back out just wherever your thoughts are heading. So you can choose to say, okay, right now where my thoughts are going, I'm walking towards that cell, or I'm walking towards that mold that, you know, was home to me. But I'm going to stop and I'm going to make a U-turn.
Yeah, that's
because
good.
I'm not going to live there. I am set free from that. And there's so much to be thankful for. And the more that you start to think about all the things that are going right, that's your U-turn. That's where, you know what I mean? You're able to just kind of grab a hold and turn yourself and not be, and because it's so familiar, it is like the moth to the flame. Like it just draws you, you know, but obviously we're not a moth. And we can stop and think about, okay, I don't want to go into this bad place and be burned or whatever, you know, locked up again in that. And so anyway, very recently, and it really does not have anything to do with you having all your dreams, everything, all your ducks lined up in a row, because I know for me, I had that in my life, and I was, it was probably one of the most depressing times in my life when I had everything that I thought would make me happy, and I was still very depressed, if not the worst that I've ever been. And I find myself in a place where I don't have everything that I thought I would have by now, and have some pretty crazy struggles. But because I've learned to be grateful for everything that is going good, I've been able to find that joy, and through that, for me, playing is huge. I love to see the wonder in everything, and that's something that I always tell people. You do like
to play, and it's fun seeing skateboarding,
at my age,
and the things that even when even knowing the risk of falling, and, and then being able to laugh at that, and you know, I love hearing those, and even seeing some of it.
having fallen, and had a big old bruiser and had a big huge fat elbow, but you know, everything was swollen, and but it was, I love to play, and I love to try new things and different things, and that also is something that where I have found joy in that.
Aww,
so
that's good.
So finding those things that you're grateful for, which also for us, I think in America, if you stop to think about just all the privileges that we have, just being born here. So one of the things I remember, I was just gonna drive through Starbucks, and I stopped and I thought, I am sitting in this car, and I am going to drive through to order myself something, and and it's just this gourmet coffee with whatever, mochas and all these different options, and I stopped to think, and I thought, this is such royal treatment that we have, and it's something, I mean, you can go on and on and on with all these different things, but I was just, at that moment, I realized, I may not have A, B, and C that I thought I would have now, but even just living in America, we live so so decadently.
We do.
You know what I mean?
Our
And
eating,
yes,
it's true.
everything, the things we get to experience.
Shopping, all the things.
Everything.
Yes.
Yes.
It's so true.
I mean, on and on and on. And so sometimes I feel like because we've just become desensitized, and so we haven't had a heart of gratitude. But when you stop and you look at those things and you start to be grateful for all these things that to the world, they'll never get to experience that kind of stuff. And
It's
here
true.
we're so privileged and you know, and spoiled. I mean, that is spoiled royal treatment.
Yeah.
So anyway, those kinds of things. Now, anytime that my mind wants to go back to that place, those are my U-turns. That's when
good.
I'm like, you know what? Oh my gosh, like I said, go back to that, or go back to, you know, we have air conditioning and heating, and we have water, and we don't
clean
think
water.
about clean water.
Yeah.
So anyway, whether you have, the other thing is, you know, being single. Well, I will literally go down a list, and I will look at the people in my life, and all of a sudden I realize, oh my gosh, there may not be that romance part right now, but the kind of people that are in my life, like your friends and your family, the way that they love you, they're there for you. I mean, that to me is being wealthy.
Yes,
and
it's
so
true.
When I've gone down that list, I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you, God, because I have all of these people that you have brought to my life. That I mean, I can't be lonely when I have that many. You know what I mean? People that love you and support you, and even just someone to laugh with. I mean, be silly with, or you know. And so, when I've taken inventory, I realize, gosh, how can I be depressed or sad, or you know, because of these things here and there that aren't, let's say, perfect? How can I, when there's so much to be grateful for? So really, for me, I believe that it started with, number one, realizing what I was familiar with, that I was crawling back to.
Okay.
And
so just being aware of that mindset.
Being aware.
When you see that you're starting to go there, back to that dark place. Exactly. Let's try and do a turnabout.
Right. You have the power. It's in your hands. It really is. So when you realize, I have control over this, I have this power, I have this strength, I can stop that. And then you look at what will make you U-turn and go back to having a heart of gratitude, and having, you know, going to that place that that makes you happy and makes you feel joyful. Like, you know, for me, another thing is, besides skateboards, it's, you know, going out to nature and just driving somewhere where it's quiet and there's nature and it's just you.
For me, it's the beach.
The beach is another. Exactly. Yeah. So different things like that. Again, here in America, and especially in California, we have we could go to the desert, the mountains, or the beach. I mean, you have, it's endless. Like, which you choose. So, and a lot of times it's just, you know, dimming the lights, turning on some scented candles. I love like solo piano music, and to just read or just start to write. And even journaling,
expressing, writing down your thoughts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And going back to that, sometimes there have been moments where I'm like, okay, everything's so in my face right now that I can't really bring myself to that U-turn. So I'll pick up my journal and read back and look at, wow, these are some things that they're good reminders. Yes. And so you're like, that's right. Yeah. You know. So again, redirecting yourself, your thoughts, and not crawling back to those prisons. Yes. It doesn't make sense when you're not a prisoner. Yes. You've been set free. You're a key holder. Yeah. So, that's so good. Yeah. It's one of those things, even as you're talking, is triggering to me. You know, a lot of times people will struggle. There'll be a lack of peace. There will be turmoil in their mind or in their heart. There'll be depression and things like that. And when you are there, when you've entered that place, why not call out for help?
at that point. You know, the I'm thinking of Proverbs. It says, a man who isolates himself seeks his own desires. And isolation is a terrible place to be. And yet when people are struggling with depression or things along that line, there's a tendency to want to be isolated.
Yes.
So at that point, let's call out for help.
Absolutely.
I feel like a lot of times people internalize things and they keep it and they ponder, they meditate, and it's all happening in their mind, in their heart, in their thoughts.
Right.
When really we've been designed to be two are better than one.
Yes.
Two are better than one, and in a multitude of counselors there's safety.
Exactly.
So call out to somebody for help. Call out to God and say, I don't have peace right now.
Right.
Can you help turn my life around so that there is peace in my life?
Yes.
Show me how to obtain this peace. Show me how to obtain this joy. I have no joy. Let me acknowledge this. I don't have joy right now. I'm not happy. Let me acknowledge this. Instead of just internalizing it and let it build, letting it grow, letting it fester.
Exactly.
And, and so I love that, though. I love the whole, even with journaling, being able to, even if you were journaling those and you're seeing that, oh, this is my pattern, this is my thought process.
Right.
Let me call out for help.
Yes.
And a lot of people, I think, get stuck there because they're embarrassed, they're ashamed, they don't want to burden anybody.
Right.
But we were never designed to go through life alone.
No. And actually, I was really good at isolating myself because I would think...
I was really good at it.
Yeah, really good. Because it's almost like I could see myself, taking shutters and shutting the windows no one can see. I'm just going to be in this little depressed, sad corner. And because I would think, well, so-and-so, she's married, she has kids, she's busy. So-and-so, Cindy's running this magazine, she's got a lot going on.
No.
You know what I mean? You look at your friends and you start to think why you can't, when really
you're more important than the magazine.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
and the people in your life, if you told them, hey, this is what I've been going through, they would be just so sad if they knew that you went through this by yourself. You weren't reaching out when they could have just came and sat with you. And sometimes that's all it is you just, need to kind of talk it out with someone.
Yes.
And have someone, many times it's just that someone will listen and you will talk yourself back to that, joyful place. But one thing that also, we were meant for community, and community is huge.
It's huge.
It really is very important. And even when you read biblically, community is just, you read about, we are to exhort one another, uphold one another, cry with one another, laugh with one another.
Yes.
There is so much in there that was meant to. We were designed to be in a community. And when you think of, I thought about the packs. When you look at animals, they run in a pack, and when one goes off from the pack, that's when they get pounced on.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? But there's protection in that pack. There's protection in that community.
Yes.
So when you go off and you venture off by yourself and you isolate yourself, you're a target to be pounced on.
Yes.
And it's so much harder because then when you get if you get dragged out to, where no one can reach you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So just don't let it get to that point. Remember to stay close to your pack, reach out.
That's good.
And be real.
Yes.
And if you feel like you don't have anyone like that, definitely cry out to God. He will make. There was a time where I didn't have anybody that I could really call, and now there's an overabundance. It's just I'm overflowing with the people that the Lord didn't just answer. Which He always does. When He answers you, it's above and beyond what you could have ever imagined and dreamed of. So definitely not isolating yourself is huge.
Yes, that's so good. Yeah. I feel like lately, even for me, I've just been challenged in my own life. If I'm, if I start to feel like negative, it's like I've asked for God to give me the discernment so that immediately I'm opening my mouth and fighting
Yes.
this thought, this argument, this imagination, this high thing.
Right.
And I'm like, no, no, you back down. You don't belong here. I'm not thinking about you.
Exactly.
And then replacing, and it's not just self-talking. It's more than that.
It is.
You're putting it in its place.
Right.
You know, as humans, we do have a lot of authority that we've been given to walk and to have dominion.
Right.
And so those are the times where it's like, no, you don't belong here, and
Exactly.
I'm not gonna give you another thought.
Right.
You know, I don't always catch it right away, but when I do, then it's like, no, we're done.
Right.
We're done.
Right.
And then it's like all of a sudden I forget that I even went there, and you just went on being who you're supposed to be.
Exactly. You're exercising your authority and
Yeah.
the power that you really have, and that's your U-turn. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
fight for your joy.
Exactly.
Fight to
Fight
be
for
happy.
it. Speak it out for sure. Don't just think things. Speak it out.
Yes, that's
because
good.
it does. You hear yourself, and then that goes back into your heart.
Yeah.
And out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So
yeah.
fill your heart with that. What you already know.
Yeah.
That, you know, and again, that heart of gratitude. So and exercising your power and your authority.
Yeah.
And realigning yourself. You know.
That's
and
good.
our pastor once said, every single person has to daily redirect themselves, whether it's, you know, with fighting depression, or it could, you know, different things, but
Yes.
we all have to redirect ourselves.
Yes.
Otherwise, you know, like if you let go of a car steering wheel, it just goes off to one side. But
That's
if you're
right.
grabbing onto your steering wheel, you're directing
That's
where
good.
you're going. So it's the
Yes.
same thing with your life. You know, grab onto your steering wheel.
That's good.
And you drive this vehicle.
That's so good. Well, is there anything else that you would like to share?
I think on this subject, that's
Yeah.
pretty much
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what I've been through, what I, you know, recommend and advise, and I love also what you shared as well, and you know, grabbing a hold and
Yeah.
of the situation, and yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, thank
I'm
you.
so glad that you were here and just
Me too.
sharing, you know, how you're able to overcome some of that depression and how to get joy back in your life, because that's huge. Everybody needs joy. Is connected to strength. You know, the joy of the Lord is your strength. A lot of
Yes.
times you'll feel weak, and when you look at that situation, you realize, oh, I'm weak and I don't have joy. So let's get the joy back, and let's get back to being strong and who we were
Exactly.
supposed to be. So thank you so much for being with us
Thank
today.
you. This was so much fun.
Oh, I'm so glad. Well, we would love to have you back. Another
you.
topic, of course.
Yes, I have lots of topics. I would love to be back.
All right. Well, listeners, thank you so much for being a part. We love you. Remember that you are fashioned for greatness. And until next time, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you for listening to our holiday podcast. If you or someone you know suffers from depression, please reach out for help. Please, please reach out for help. You are loved and you matter to those around you. Not only that, we here at Fashioned Magazine are here to help. So visit us online at fashionedmagazine.com and know that you truly have been fashioned beautifully and you are wonderfully made.